Okay, so to fit your elastic, what you need to do is wrap it around you and pull it snug, but not cinch, just snug. Mark it where it would butt together, and you're gonna cut that off. Okay, so then you're gonna take that elastic and you're gonna put a safety pin in the end, okay? Then you're gonna insert it in that opening that you left, and you're going to push the material onto the pin. The pin is like just the hard part that you can feel. And then you're gonna pull it onto the elastic. Onto the pin, onto the elastic, until you've worked it all the way through. Now it should bunch up on the elastic, and so you can pin it down on the outside so it doesn't get sucked in. Like I had 2 safety pins, so I could do that and work it all the way through. Okay, so I've worked it almost all the way through. I will note where I had my pockets folded, I had to kind of keep working until I got it to pull through. So now I've got it almost all the way out, so I'm gonna do that, and it should just keep bunching up. I'm gonna make sure that it's not twisted, and then I'm gonna pin it together with my safety pin, and I like using a safety pin just so we don't poke anybody in the belly. All right, and I make sure it's not twisted, and I'm gonna overlap it about 1 inch, and I'm gonna pin it together, and then I'm gonna try it on my person, and I'm gonna keep pulling it tighter or looser until it fits them. So I suck it in, and I'm gonna pull it tighter or looser until I know if it's gonna fit, okay? And once I do that, then I'm gonna pull it out. Let's say this fits. I'm gonna do it with a regular pin, and I'm gonna sew forwards, back stitch, forwards, and then forwards, back stitch, forwards. Not all of our machines like to sew on elastic, so you kind of have to go slow, and you may have to do it with your hand by turning the hand wheel towards you. But forwards, back stitch, forwards, forwards, back stitch, forwards, then suck it in there and sew the hole closed. Okay, so we tried it on our person and we made it fit. And I've got some extra, but I'll cut this off in a little bit. So I have pinned it together, and I'm gonna sew forwards, back stitch, forwards, and then forwards, back stitch, forwards. And then I'm gonna trim that excess off. But I also wanna make sure that it is not twisted through the casing. And so just pull that out, okay? I'm gonna come over here, and I am going to sew, but again, my machine will see what it thinks about sewing this elastic. Sometimes, and I'm gonna go over that pin slowly just because it'll pull. And I'm gonna go slow, and then I'm gonna back stitch. And then I'm gonna go forwards again. Okay, but I'm gonna do this again because, you know, there's a lot of stress on the waistband, and, you know, because that's where we put our clothes on and off. And so I wanna make sure that it's good and tight, and we don't it doesn't pull apart. And I am sewing over my pins, but slowly. And I can kind of feel it pulling. I think on the back side I'm gonna have some loops, because every once in a while that's gonna the needle's gonna catch some elastic and cause some problems. So stop with your take-up lever at the top, cut it, and then let's look and see what it did. Oh, this one, it did okay. It didn't do so bad. So then I'm gonna trim my threads I'm going to trim my excess elastic here, and I'm going to suck it in there, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I have pulled the elastic in by just stretching the waistband until it got sucked in. And you can see that hole. Now we're going to sew that hole closed. So I'm going to take a pin, and I'm going to pin it down just so it stays where it needs to be. Okay. Then I'm going to take it up here, and following my same guide as I did before, you know, with the edge of my presser foot right along the fold of the waistband fold, I'm just going to stitch. Again, this time I'm going to leave my pins in and go over them slowly just because I need to hold that right there. Then when I get to the other end, I'm going to back stitch. Okay, stop with my take-up lever at the top. Pull this out and cut the threads. But what I want to do to make this a little easier so I know that this is the front, I'm going to sew a little square right over the elastic, you know, because we've already made sure it's not twisted. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew down a few. Remember, we've got to turn. And I don't want it to be something crazy noticeable. But I'm also sewing my elastic in place just at one spot, not more than one spot, because I want to be able to tell where the front is all the time. Oops. All the time, and that way I'm not constantly getting twists and stuff in my elastic. Okay, then stop with my take-up lever at the top. I'm going to have to cut all these loose threads. But see how I sewed a little square there in the front, so you know, and I'll cut those, that you know that that's the front, okay? Okay.